Thank you for accepting the invitation of this committee and for sharing your valuable time with us. This hybrid public hearing of the Committee on National Defense and Security, Peace, Unification, and Reconciliation, conducted jointly with the Committees on Government Corporations and Public Enterprises, Ways and Means, and Finance, is now called to order. Would like to acknowledge the presence of our dear colleagues who are joining us today. Present virtually is Senator Christopher Bongo. Siya lang. And I think Senator Bato de Rosa just stepped out of the room. With the presence of our honorable colleagues, we now declare the presence of a quorum. Ngayon po ay sisimulan natin ang pagtalakay at paghimay sa masalimuot na usapin ng pensyon ng ating military and uniformed personnel or tinatawag na MUP. As far as I know, efforts to rationalize pension, retirement schemes of our uniformed personnel have been included as a priority legislation of the LEDAC as early as the 13th Congress, that is during the 2004-2007. Since then, the fund requirements have ballooned immensely and now require our immediate action. While we recognize the important role and peculiar nature of work of our soldiers, policemen, and women, and uniformed officers being exposed to constant risk and danger, we are also mindful of the enormous burden of the existing pension system to the nation's coffers, especially to the taxpayers, as it is fully funded by the government. Now that we are in the 19th Congress, your Committee on National Defense intends to hear the side and sentiments both of the economic managers and MUP agencies, hopefully to find common ground and consensus, and with your expertise and cooperation, come up with a legislation that is fair and acceptable to all. We have in our agenda this morning two proposed measures. Senate Bill number 284, providing for a unified system for separation, retirement, and pension of the military uniformed personnel services of the Republic of the Philippines, creating the Military Uniformed Personnel Retirement Fund Authority, providing funds therefore and for other purposes, introduced by this representation. And Senate Bill number 1421, strengthening the military uniformed personnel pension system, creating the Military Uniformed Personnel Insurance Fund, amending sections 3 and 24 of Republic Act 8291 and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Ramon Bong Revilla Jr. We look forward to a productive discussion of the issues at hand. And before we proceed, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Senator Bato de la Rosa. At this point, may I call on the COMSEC to please acknowledge our guests and resource persons for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. In today's hearing, those present are from the Department of Finance, Yusek Maria Shelo Magno, Yusek Maria Luwalhati Dorotan Cuseco, Ms. Donna Mia Basada, and Ms. Patricia T. Juven. From the Department of Budget and Management, physically present also are Attorney Tricia M. Baran, Attorney Ron Carlo S. Ortalesa. For the Governance Commission for Government-Owned or Controlled Corporations, we have Attorney Michael B. Pabalinas. For the Government Service Insurance Systems, we have Mr. George Onqueco Jr., Attorney Giovanni Lin Quicoy Marin, and Ms. Precious Ann Taliwaga. For the Philippine Coast Guard, we have Coast Guard Vice Admiral Robert N. Patrimonio and Coast Guard Commander Jomel Panes. For the National Mapping and Resource Information Authority, virtually present is Captain Jose T. Arevalo Jr. For the Bureau of Fire Protection, we have Chief Superintendent Jesus Fernandez and Senior Superintendent Bernalita Silagan. For the Philippine National Police, we have Police Brigadier General Ross Alvarado, Police Major General Gerald Corpus. We also have Police Major General Robert T. Rodriguez, Police Major General Jonel Estomo. We have Police Brigadier General Nino David L. Rabaya, Police Brigadier General Bowen Joey Masauding, Police Major General Ronaldo Olay, Police Major General Jonel Estomo, and Colonel Maria Noel Tolentino. For the Armed Forces of the Philippines, we have Brigadier General Romel P. Roldan, PAF. From the Department of National Defense, we have Secretary Carlito G. Galvez Jr. Together with him is USEC Ignacio P. Madriaga and ASEC Eric Lawrence D. Virtually present also is Lieutenant Colonel Juancho Rigor. For the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, we have Jail Chief Superintendent Ruel Rivera, Jail Senior Superintendent Filipinas Fulgencio, Jail Senior Superintendent John D. Montero. We also have Jail Chief Inspector Gerald Francis Orias, Jail Superintendent Michael Angelo M. Caceres, Jail Senior Inspector Melka Quispe. For the Bureau of Correction, we have USEC Gregorio Pio Katapang Jr., Director General. Also present is General Alperas Alpereras. For the Department of Transportation, we have Attorney Cherry May Paliquit. For the Department of Justice, we have Senior State Counsel Bernadette Ongoko. For the Bureau of Treasury, we have Treasurer Rosalia V. De Leon. For the Bureau of Internal Revenue, we have Mr. Scranton Orculio, virtually present. For the National Economic and Development Authority, we have USEC Crystalline Tan Uy, Assistant Secretary Sarah Lynn S. Daway Ducanes, and Attorney Rayan Reposar. For the Department of Interior and Local Government, we have virtually present is Attorney Gina Wenceslao. Physically present are USEC Juan Victor Llamas and USEC Oscar Valenzuela. We also have virtually present is ASEC Esther Aldana. For the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, we have Attorney Lester Joseph Kaliwara virtually present. We also have for the Philippine Veterans Affairs Office, virtually present is USEC Reynaldo B. Mapagu, as well as Attorney Rolando D. Villaflor. That would be all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Comsec. For the record, your committee is in receipt of the position papers from the following agencies: Philippine Coast Guard, Philippine Veterans Affairs Office, Bureau of Corrections, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, Bureau of Internal Revenue, Bureau of Fire Protection, and the Governance Commission for GOCCs. And I enjoin other agencies to submit their respective position papers. In the interest of time, you need not read the entire text, your position papers, but simply highlight the main points for the committee's consideration. All right, the order of presentation will be first the economic managers, represented by the Department of Finance, Department of Budget and Management, National Economic and Development Authority. Number two, Department of National Defense or the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Number three, Philippine National Police or the DILG. Number four, other MUP agencies like the Philippine Coast Guard, Department of Justice, Bureau of Corrections, BJMP, and BFB, Bureau of Fire Protection, National Mapping and Resource Information Authority, or the NAMRIA, and Philippine Veterans Affairs Office. Number five, the government GSIS. Number six, the Governance Commission for Government-Owned and Controlled Corporation, BIR. Okay, let's start first with the economic managers from Department of Finance. I understand you have a short presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
Opening statement, machine. All. All right.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. So again, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Chairperson Estrada, Senator Bato, the honorable members of the members joining us virtually, and colleagues in government. Thank you for the opportunity to present the real state of the military and uniformed personnel pension system. And for this, we earnestly seek your support to move this reform agenda forward. Before we present our four-point reform, we will provide an overview of the current MUP pension system and the structural issues that contribute to its unsustainability. The current MUP pension system covers the pension from the Armed Forces of the Philippines, the Philippine National Police, the Bureau of Fire Protection, the Philippine Coast Guard, the Bureau of Corrections, the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, and the Philippine Public Safety College. There are four relatively unique features of the MUP pension system. First, the MEP pension system is fully funded by the national government through annual appropriations with no contributions from the personnel. Second, under the current system, the amount of pension is automatically pegged to the current salary of the personnel of similar rank in active service. Third, military and uniform personnel are automatically granted one rank higher upon retirement. Lastly, for our MUPs to be eligible to receive pension, they must render at least 20 years in active service. For instance, suppose one starts, he serves at 20 years old. Master Sergeant 1 can already receive monthly pension at 40 years old if he avails of an optional retirement. These structural variables, which have been going on for years, make the whole pension system highly susceptible to shocks and is fiscally unsustainable. In the current system, MEPs have no vested rights to their pension prior to actual retirement. Pension benefits and adjustments are granted as gift under full discretion of national government without vested ownership of military and uniformed personnel. Pension benefits and increases are unpredictable. Dependence to full government funding makes pension system susceptible to economic and fiscal downturns, which creates an unstable and unreliable benefit system for MUP and their dependents. The pension system is unsecured. The current design features pose serious threat to sustainability of the system, placing future generations of MUP and their families at risk. Because of this system, the funding requirement of the MUP pension has been growing at a fiscally unsustainable rate. According to an actuarial study that the GSIS conducted in 2019, the MUP pension system's unfunded liabilities is estimated at 9.6 trillion pesos if the current structure prevails. This represents around 53.4% of the country's GDP in 2020 and does not yet include funding requirements for those who enlisted after the study was conducted. The threat that the government will be unable to meet its pension commitments or improve the country's defense posture is real. We are already spending significantly more on pension liabilities than on keeping our military and uniformed services safe, competent, and in fighting shape. The chart shows the total spending for maintenance and other operating expenses, as well as capital outlays in dark blue bar and spending for the MUP pension in red bar. As you can see in 2022, the government spent more for pension than on MOE and capital outlays. Without a reform, based on the initial simulation conducted by the ad hoc committee on the MUP pension system in 2021, the pension spending is projected to increase tremendously in the succeeding years. 214 billion pesos in 2023, 537 billion pesos in 2030, and 1.5 trillion pesos in 2040. Likewise, the effects of borrowing for pension liabilities cascade to succeeding years and are sensitive to higher interest rates. This figure shows the interest expense, the green bar, and unfunded liabilities, the orange bar. As seen in the figure, we are paying approximately 11.5 billion pesos in 2023 just for interest expense. This interest expense will further balloon to 40 billion pesos in 2030 and 171 billion pesos in 2040. Our four-point MUP pension reform is anchored on two key principles. First, the pension security and predictability. And second, our investment in peace and national security. First, we must establish a strong, sustainable, and robust social protection system that all MUP can rely on in old age. The proposed MUP pension reform aims to establish a strong protection system that can provide a dignified post retirement income that MUP retirees can rely on in their old age. Enhancing the financial sustainability of the MUP pension system is key to ensuring that the state is able to honor its future promises to retirees and their dependents. This is only possible if we have a robust, well-functioning, adequately funded, and resilient pension system that can withstand emerging risks and financial vulnerabilities. In this way, we can secure the pension not only of current retirees but also of new entrants and active MUPs. Second, the pension reform is an investment in peace and national security. We understand that peace, order, and security are preconditions for the country's development. Hence, the state is committed to investing in the welfare of our nation's primary defenders from the moment of entry into the service until their old age. This requires a balance between investments in a modern defense system for our active defenders and a reliable, dignified, and stable social safety net for MUPs in their old age. For the coverage, we propose that the proposed MUP pension reform shall apply to all active personnel and new entrants. Second, we propose to shift how the pension of retirees are adjusted to ensure that the pension benefits adequately covers the needs of the MUPs. Under our proposal, the pension of MUPs are now subject to periodic review. This instills predictability in how pension benefits are adjusted. Third, we propose to institute a minimum pensionable age of 57 years old. Fourth, we also propose that those in active service and new entrants be required to contribute a portion of their monthly compensation to the MUP Trust Fund to finance their pension and additional benefits such as the increased disability pension and life insurance. In developing these reforms, our primary consideration is that the new pension system is first adequate to provide for a reliable source of post-retirement income and social safety net that can address the needs of MUP retirees in their old age. Fair, dignified, and reliable, considering the extraordinary risks borne by MUP over the course of their career and the sacrifices they make for the Filipino people. And third, financially sound, robust, and sustainable over time, allowing the state to secure pensions for current and future retirees and their dependents without crowding out financial resources for a modern defense system the country's development needs. In the spirit of cooperation, the economic team has and will continue to engage our military and uniformed personnel and stakeholders in shaping this reform. As agreed during the May 8 small group meeting, the economic team will also convene the technical working group composed of the concerned sectors, including the military and uniformed services, to formulate a fiscally sound and acceptable version of the MUP pension reform. The legislature and the military and uniformed services are our crucial partners in transforming the pension system. We ask that we work together to reform the current MUP pension system to guarantee the rapid modernization and timely strengthening of our civil and national defense, the continuous and reliable provision of fair retirement benefits for the nation's primary defenders while ensuring the government's fiscal stability. Together, we can build on this four-point reform to arrive at a reasonable, fiscally sustainable, and robust solution. This is an opportunity for us to leave behind a better system that will redound to the economic security of generations of Filipinos and of the valiant men and women in the service. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and that is for our presentation.
Thank you, our National Treasurer. Pareho na kayo. Proceed now with the presentation of the Department of National Defense, if you have any. You have any statement? All right.
to the Honorable Chairperson of this committee, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, to our Honorable Senators in attendance, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Senator Bongo, to fellow government officials, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. The Department of National Defense recognizes the financial implications of the burgeoning pensions on our military and uniformed personnel. While we fully support the enactment of legislative measures to address the current issues hounding the pension system, the DND and the AP respectfully appeals that the morale and welfare of our soldiers be given due weight in this deliberation, considering that the mere notion of modernizing our pension system, it created already some sort of apprehension. At present, mere discussions of proposals relating to retirement benefits, most especially the imposition of the pensionable age, has already affected the morale and caused uneasiness, not only from within the active ranks of the armed forces, but even from our veterans and retirees. As pointed out by J1, General Romel Roldan, during our previous meetings and also your honors, we have went to Fifth ID and we have some sort of discussions with the personnel and the commanders, the Commander Norcom, and also the commander of Fifth ID and all the personnel in face-to-face and BTC. We anticipated that around 70 to 80% of our enlisted personnel eligible for optional retirement will gonna retire kasi ang gusto nila sir i-avail na po nila yung pension system ng current system kasi yung apprehension po ng new possible new MUP law magkakaroon po ng implication sa kanilang tinatawag na yung retirement nila sa optional retirement. Ito po yung mga naka 20 years na po sa serbisyo to avail the same given the uncertainty of them immediately receiving pensions upon retirement should the system be overhauled. So it is possible we would want to appeal to our honorable senators that we should really look on the possible middle ground that we can really see that the moral welfare of our people will be taken care of. During our discussion, there is no problem if the system will be given to the new entrants. They all unanimously agree. But in the four presentation and even the 7 areas, including the lump sum that will be given, will be reduced from 36 months to 18 months. There are some adverse reaction. If this still financially impossible, we are very amenable and open to modifications in the system so long as these are fair and equitable to the military and the MUP, and also it is based on the financial soundness or scientific actuarial science. The men and women of the armed forces are fully committed to their oath. Our soldiers, airmen, sailors, and marines are always willing and ready to defend our country and protect our people from all threats. The AP continues to obtain the highest approval, satisfaction, and trust rating from the Philippine populace. As the officer in charge of the DND, it is my sacred duty to constantly look out for the troops' welfare, and one of them is the assurance of its modest life upon retirement. In fact, the president also gave a instruction that he is very much concerned on the impact of this MUP on the moral and welfare of our personnel and policemen. And he wanted that there should be a continuous discussion to have the common ground. At the end of the day, ensuring a fair, equitable retirement and pension is the least we can do for the brave men and women of the armed forces of the Philippines who continue to lay their lives on the line protecting the Filipino people and defending the Philippines. For the information of everybody, also the increase of the pay and allowances of the soldiers only come and fully realized in 2019, your honors. Actually, we are very thankful for the previous administration for giving us this opportunity that our pay and allowance had been doubled. With that, maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Secretary Galvez, for your opening statement. We proceed now with the Philippine National Police. Do you have any opening statement?
Honorable Senator Jinggoy Estrada, Chairperson, Committee on National Defense and Security, Peace, Unification, and Reconciliation. Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, sir. Senator Bongo, to the distinguished members of the Senate, fellow public servants, a pleasant morning to all. I'm Police General Brigadier General Ross Alvarado, the Acting Deputy Director for Controllership. At the outset, and in behalf of the men, women, and officers of the PNP, I would like to extend my utmost gratitude for inviting us to this hybrid joint public hearing on the proposed military and human personnel pension reforms law. Such invitation manifests your valued recognition and having all the stakeholders participate in the discussion of this contentious matter. Relative thereto, the PNP expresses its support for the immediate passage of this legislative measure, as this would ensure the fiscal viability of government pension funds. The DILG has also directed all the bureaus and each attached agencies to submit their respective positions on the four features of the proposed MUP reform law. Hence, the PNP submitted a letter dated May 3, 2023, addressed to the Secretary of the DILG, the Honorable Attorney Benjamin D. Abalos Jr., stipulating the PNP's position on the following four important issues to it. A, applicability of the law, whether or not the proposed bill should apply to both new entrants and active personnel. B, on the proposed pensionable age, whether or not MUPs receive their pension at 56 years old, regardless of the number of years in the service. C, on the mandatory contributions for active personnel and new entrants, similar to the GSIS pensioners. And D, automatic indexation, as to whether there will be no automatic indexation of pension to the salary of active personnel of similar rank. Thus, upon careful perusal of the applicable laws and taking into consideration the importance of the retirement and pension reform system, the PNP has propounded that on all the four issues, our position is that the proposed bill should apply to new entrants only, in line with the principle of prospectivity of statutes and non-diminution of benefits. This is further so considering that MUPs are not like any other government employees whose services are required or are on call 24 hours a day. Lately, on May 8, 2023, a small group meeting was held at the Legazpi Ballroom, Makati Diamond Residences, being organized by the Presidential Legislative Liaison Office to discuss the proposed bill on the MUP retirement and pension reform system. During the meeting, the following 7 key reform proposals of the MUP bill were then presented by Ms. Rosalia Vidillon, the National Treasurer. A, the reform to apply to all active personnel and new entrants. B, adjustment of pension benefits by up to 1.5% within a given year, subject to evaluation of economic conditions and actuarial life of pension fund. C, MUPs start receiving their monthly pension at 57 years old. D, mandatory contribution for active personnel and new entrants that will ultimately inure for their benefits. E, MUPs to receive immediately upon retirement a lump sum equal to 18 months of the monthly retirement pay regardless of age at retirement. F, all contributions and proceeds from assets shall accrue exclusively to each MUP agency's own trust fund. And G, separate trust fund committees shall be established to govern the funds. The National Treasurer also recommended during the meeting for the revival of the technical working group for the MUP retirement and pension reform system under the PLLO. In view of this development, it is then imperative that the PNP will also undertake a supplemental review and revisiting of its position on the proposed MUP reform bill. The PNP Technical Working Group has been reactivated and tasked to conduct an in-depth review focusing on the 7 key features of the proposal and for the subsequent issuance of resolution stipulating the PNP's official stand on the matter. Rest assured, sir, that the PNP will immediately submit its supplemental position on this significant piece of legislation. Thank you, sir, and maraming salamat po.
Thank you, General
Alvarado, sir. Alvarado, sir.
Alvarado.
Opo.
Okay. Proceed now with the Philippine Coast Guard.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Senator Jingo Ejercito Estrada, sir, and Honorable Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, sir. The Philippine Coast Guard understands the need for a more collaborative retirement system for all military and uniformed personnel, which seeks to ease the burden of the annual national appropriation and rationalization and rationalize the existing retirement and pension scheme. With this, the Philippine Coast Guard is amenable to proposed changes in the pension system, and after a careful review of the measures being presented while taking into consideration the sentiments of our personnel, the Philippine Coast Guard wishes to convey our position on each reform proposal. On mandatory contribution rates, the Philippine Coast Guard would like to express that we are amenable to a mandatory contribution rate of 5% based on base pay only and not on the gross monthly compensation as proposed. This is in consideration that MUPs have other equally important expenses, particularly providing family support and not to discount their daily personnel needs when they retire. On retirement and pension age, the compulsory age of retirement should still be at 56 years old or 36 years in the service, whichever comes later, and maintain the existing optional retirement of 20 years of satisfactory active service with outright pension upon retirement. Undeniably, military and uniformed service is intensely physical and stressful that observes a 24 hours and 7 days work period away from their families and loved ones most of the time while they are in active service. Retirement at age 56 means that they are given some time to enjoy their family to recompense for their absence while serving our country. On the coverage and applicability of the unified system, minor revisions on the existing pension scheme shall be implemented on active members. Drastic changes on measures should be avoided so as not to violate the principle of non-diminution of benefits as guaranteed under the Constitution and at the same time maintaining the morale of our Philippine Coast Guard uniformed personnel. Newly enacted laws should be prospective in nature, hence complete overhaul of the pension system shall be applicable only to new entrants. On automatic indexation, the Philippine Coast Guard agrees to the removal of automatic indexation provided that there shall be regular pension review and adjustments based on inflation or at 5%. On monthly pension computation, the monthly pension computation shall still be based on the base pay and longevity pay of the grade next higher than the permanent grade last held upon retirement. This will compensate the no automatic indexation scheme and at least give premium to the loyalty and on staying on to serve until retirement in order to attain the full economical utilization of services of well-experienced, highly trained, and mature officers. On the MUP agency's own trust fund, creation of one MUP fund authority for all MUPs, which is composed of all line agencies with concerned uniformed personnel such as the Department of National Defense, the Department of Interior and Local Government, the Department of Justice, and the DOTR. This is to ensure uniformity and cost efficiency. In closing, the men and women of your Philippine Coast Guard understands that change in the retirement system is inevitable. Nevertheless, the Philippine Coast Guard hopes that the above-mentioned position be considered for the benefit of the government at the same time maintaining the morale and welfare of its personnel after retirement. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Vice Admiral Patrimonio. Are you related to the basketball player?
This is under third degree, sir. Thank you.
All right. Okay, proceed now with the BJMP.
Yeah, to the honorable chairman of this committee, Honorable Jingo Estrada, sir, Senator Bato de la Rosa, Senator Bongo, and other present this morning. The Bureau of Jail Management and Penology fully support the proposed bills of the Military Uniform Personnel Reform Pension Bill and seek of its immediate passage with the following recommendation. First, that this bill would be applicable only to new entrants. That the compulsory retirement age of military uniform personnel remains to 56. Then the mandatory contribution be applicable only to new entrants, MUPs only, with this share for the personnel share of 5% and government share of 16% on the first year. On the second year, 7% and 14% consecutively of 9 and 12 or from the monthly compensation. On the fifth, that the previous rule on the payment of retirement pay for voluntary retirement be retained. That the BGMP be given due representation through its chief in the proposed Military and Uniform Personnel Fund Authority Board of Directors. That the retirement for the next higher pay grade for the purposes of retirement pay and benefits be retained for the active military personnel only. With this, we're hoping for your consideration of our recommendation on the Senate bills seeking to provide a unified system for the separation, retirement, and pension of military and uniform personnel. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and other senators present. This public hearing for giving us opportunity to present the BGMP's position and comments. Good day po and maraming salamat.
Thank you. Superintendent, what's your name again?
Ruel Rivera, sir.
Ruel Rivera.
Yes, sir.
Ano yung JC? Ano?
Jail Chief Superintendent.
Jail. Allergic kasi ako sa jail. So, Bureau of Fire.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the Honorable Committee on National Defense, headed by the good Senator Jingoy Estrada, sir, to Senator Bato de la Rosa, to Senator Bongo, and other members of these legislators present, good morning. I'm Chief Superintendent Jesus Fernandez, and I'm tasked to speak today on the legislative proposals on behalf of the Bureau of Fire Protection. Reforms on the retirement system of the MUP had long been endeavored by several past Congresses. However, due to the intricacy of the issues, the vastness and depth of its impact, and the sensitivities on the retirement particulars of the system, resolutions has never been achieved. The result of the persisting ballooning pension cost up to this date, as a former Senator Franklin Drilon said during one of the committee hearings in the 18th Congress, the Congress must propose reforms that will produce the least sensitivities to the retirement benefits of the MUP. The Bureau of Fire Protection fully understands the urgency of the reforms, emphasizes on the imminent ballooning of the pension funding requirements. While we subscribe to the noble intents of the proposals, we seek to buttress a balanced contemplation between two government interests in issue. One, an adequate remuneration for our military and uniformed personnel for their services. And two, the adjustment of such benefit to ensure sustainability of government funds. We submit that it is the general position of the BFP that the reform should only be applied to new entrants. First, the benefits bestowed to MUP personnel under Republic Act number 6975, 9263, and 8551, and other relevant laws, decrees, and issuances should apply to those who entered the service during the effectiveness of these laws. One of the major considerations why active MUP personnel entered the service is the retirement package of the MUP for MUP personnel. Second, Retirement laws are social legislations. The objective of the retirement laws is primarily to provide for the retiree's sustenance and hopefully even comfort when he no longer has the capability to earn a living. Third, to amend existing retirement benefits being enjoyed by active MUP personnel is to violate the principle of diminution of benefits. To emphasize, the existing retirement benefits were unitarily given by the government to active personnel when they entered the service by virtue of the aforementioned laws and were not consistently applied since the effectivity of these laws. Fourth, the existing retirement laws of the MUP were enacted into law in recognition of the peculiar mandates of military and uniformed personnel, which differs from civilian services. They are constantly exposed to environmental, psychological, economic, and political risks and hazards on significant levels. Thus, their retirement benefits are regarded as gratuity for their personal services for the government. As for our comment on the specific changes on the retirement particulars being proposed by subject Senate bills, we already submitted our position paper containing the provisions we were amenable and not amenable, Mr. Chair. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you, Chief Superintendent Fernandez. Right. Proceed now with the representative of the Bucor.
Greetings to our honorable senators, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, Senator Pato de la Rosa, Senator Bongo, and to other government officials present. The Bureau of Corrections is a new member of the Uniformed Service by virtue of Republic Act RA 10575, Bureau of Corrections Act of 2013, which was approved last 24 May 2013 and took effect on the same year after its publication as required under the law. To date, the Bucor uniform personnel have no approved separation, retirement, and pension plan. Its retirement and separation benefit system for uniform personnel was duly reviewed by the DOJ and endorsed to the DBM or Department of Budget and Management, but was withdrawn in anticipation of the passage of a new law, which is we are now taking up. The Bucor fully subscribes to the intent and spirit of the proposed bills as it gears toward sound fiscal management and sustainability of NUP separation, retirement, and pension system. However, there are provisions in the proposed law which Bucor have some reservations. Number one, as regards the age requirement of 65 years old and the 30 years of satisfactory active service requirement, the attainment of 65 years old or the accumulation of 30 years of satisfactory active service, whichever comes later, should constitute the compulsory retirement of the NUP. As to the proposed establishment of the NUP Fund Authority that will handle the government or govern the funds, a separate trust fund for each agency must be established to govern these funds. It is recommended that all contributions and proceeds from the assets shall accrue exclusively to each NUP agency's own trust fund. The Bucor's position is for the creation of a non-appropriated fund for Bucor Uniform Personnel Retirement Plan patterned after the United States Army Non-Appropriated Fund Employee Retirement Plan. Under this NAF retirement plan, Bucor personnel would contribute certain percentage of their salary to fund the retirement. The contributions of Bucor personnel and the Bureau's contribution will be deposited in a Bucor's NAF Retirement Trust Fund, and those funds will be invested by the trust and used to pay the retirement benefits of Bucor personnel when they retired. Likewise, there are several land assets of Bucor which are under the exclusive control of the Bucor in accordance with Republic Act 10575 and its implementing rules and regulations. Under the law, Bucor has absolute authority to design, develop, formulate, and implement land use development plans and policies, and these real properties of Bucor shall be used as means to promote sustainability, both income and non-income generating programs. Portions of the proceeds thereof may be used to finance the livelihood program that will be beneficial for Bucor's personnel in sustaining its retirement plan, which is established in accordance with the proposed Senate bill. As regards to other provisions of these proposed bills, Bucor leave it to the sound judgment of this honorable committee. Respectfully submitted for honorable committee's consideration. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mabasa. General Katapang. Okay.
sir.
Proceed now with the Namria. A representative from Namria.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Ano siya?
I'm Captain Arevalo from
Saan?
Namria, and to
Virtual?
all the guests. We have some comments on bill that provide a unified system for separation, retirement, and pension of the military and uniformed personnel. Namria supports the proposed measures with our comments summarized as follows. For its applicability, the uniformed
Can you please
personnel.
turn on your video, Mr. Arevalo? Yan. It's okay.
Sir. Okay na
Loob
po.
mo lang nakikita. Focus mo naman. Yan.
For its applicability, the uniformed personnel of Namria supports the applicability of the new law to new entrants only. We recommend that retired and active personnel continue to be governed by the existing laws prior to the enactment of the new law. On its retirement age, Namria does not object to the adjustment of compulsory retirement to 65, since the nature of work for hydrographers has changed over time. First, wisdoms come with experience. Currently, some officers were sent to attend training, academic courses in government or foreign institution in their senior years. This gives them only a few years to apply what they have learned if they are to retire at 56. Second, the physical requirements of the job have changed. In the past, hydrographer had to carry enormous and heavy equipment. Currently, the equipment has been compact and lighter. The current retirement age for commissioned officers and non-commissioned officers in Namria are 56 for the commissioned officers and 65 for our non-commissioned officers. For our comments for voluntary retirement, Namria supports the proposal to make the retirements to be 60 to the pensionable age. Furthermore, sir, we have the following comments on Senate Bill number 284. In relation to Section 3.A, we recommend that we can replace it in the part of the NAMRIA to the commission and non-commissioned officers of the National Mapping and Resource Information Authority, which assume the functions of the defunct Bureau of Coast and Geodetic Survey, then under the Department of the National Defense. This is our position, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arevalo. Proceed now with the PIVAO, Veterans Affairs Office. Any representative from the veterans? Online, all right.
We already
you
did,
said-
sir.
Mr.
We
Chairman,
Yes, please proceed.
to the chairperson, the Honorable Senator Jinggoy Ejercito Estrada, the Honorable Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Honorable Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo, to all the attendees present in this joint public hearing, a pleasant morning to all of you. May I manifest our position on Senate Bill number 248 as well as Senate Bill number 1421. I first state that the Constitution mandates the state to provide funds for the immediate and adequate care, benefits, and other forms of assistance to our veterans and veterans of military campaign, their surviving spouses and orphans as mentioned in Article 16, Section 7 of the Constitution. This constitutional provision not only ensures sufficient and adequate pension benefits to our veterans, their surviving spouses and orphans, but also its sustainability and continuity. The Philippine Veterans Affairs Office understands that reforms on the MUP pension system should be further studied and evaluated to achieve a sound, fair, and effective retirement pension system for the welfare and well-being of the men and women in uniform. And PIVAO supports a new pension scheme that covers the new entrants. And we recognize that the government is continuously pursuing initiatives in the economic recovery brought about by the pandemic. Hence, a viable and optimal financial solution and strategic measures to support the MUP pension system must be taken into consideration. And with that, we support the position of the Secretary of National Defense as regards the MUP pension system. Once again, good morning and God bless us all.
Thank you, Yusek Mapago. Before we proceed with the other agencies, I think Senator Bongo wants to say something. Senator Go?
Yes, sir. Salamat po, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, dear colleagues and all the resource persons in attendance, good day to all of you. May I just share a few thoughts on the bills included in the agenda today. Mr. Chair, I would like to put into record that I have been always been supportive of our uniformed personnel even before I became a senator. Their unparalleled service, bravery, and heroism should be truly commended and reciprocated. Buhay po ang isinasakripisyo nila para mapanatili ang seguridad ng bansa. Iba po ang sakripisyo nila dahil buhay po ang nakataya dito. It is for this reason that I assure every uniformed personnel that I will only push for or support any measure that will be for the betterment of our uniformed personnel. Kahit isang boto lang po ako dito, palagi kong ipaglalaban kung ano po makakabuti sa mga nagsiservisyo sa bayan. Nabanggit po kanina ni Secretary Galvez what is fair and equitable lang po sana. Let me be clear, naintindihan ko po ang concerns ng ating mga finance managers. Galing rin po ako sa executive noon. Talaga nababahala yung DOF, budget, nababahala sila pag kulang yung pondo, pag nagkakaroon po ng problema na po sa pondo, sila po ang parating inaatasan ng presidente, maghanap ng pondo, saan kukunin ito. Naintindihan ko po ang trabaho ng ating finance managers. We all want to address the ballooning pension requirement and prevent a looming budget disaster. Pero para sa akin, Mr. Chair, wag sana itong gawin at the expense of the military and all uniformed personnel na nagbubuhis ng buhay at nagsasakripisyo. Ibahin po natin ang pagkonsidera sa kanila. May exemption naman po. Dahil sa totoo lang po, iba po ang trabaho nila. Buhay po ang tinataya nila para mapanatili ang seguridad ng ating bansa. Konsuelo na po sana sa ating military at uniformed personnel. With all due respect, maghanap na lang po tayo ng pondo, na ibang pagkukunan ng pondo. Kaysa galawin natin ang natatanggap ng active service at obligahin sila na magbayad ng mandatory contributions o ibahin ang pension na matatanggap nila. Wag naman po sana. Ayusin natin pwede naman po sana, ayusin natin yung pagkukolekta ng buwis. Maaring may pagkukunan pa at siguraduhin natin na walang mapunta sa korupsyon. Tanggalin natin ang korupsyon sa gobyerno. Siguraduhin natin na walang mga under the table at paghusayin po ang pagkukolekta ng mga buwis. I urge the BIR, the Bureau of Customs to collect taxes and customs duties properly and more efficiently. Eliminating corruption in government should be enough to cover for the pension requirement. We can also impose higher taxes on luxury goods dahil mayayaman naman po ang bumibili dyan. Pwede pong increase natin yung sin tax. With this, we can also protect the health of our people. Mr. Chair, tinaasan natin ang sahod ng uniform personnel noong panahon ni Pangulong Duterte. Dinoble po ang sahod ng entry-level positions. Pinaghirapan natin ito noong 2017. Na-implement po ito ng 2018 sa tulong po ng mga kasamahan natin sa Kongreso. Ako mismo po ay kasama doon na pinaghirapan natin to at makumbinsi ang mga kasama natin sa Kongreso. At ako po mismo inatasan na makipag-usap sa mga mambabatas noon. Dahil yan po ay pinangako ni dating President Duterte. At natupad po yung kanyang pinangako. Kaya hindi po ako susuporta kung masasayang ang pinaghirapang dagdag sahod na yon. Huwag naman po natin sanang itratong bigay-bawi. Pinasarapan natin sila, ngayon babawiin natin. Karamihan sa kanila ay may pinaglaanan na po ng pera. Yung iba dyan, expecting na po sa matatanggap nila once they retire, binigay na natin sa kanila, nakaplano na yan, utang na, nakapag-loan na, nakapag-installment na po para sa future ng kanilang mga anak. Lalong-lalo na po yung mga ordinaryong mga sundalo. Nakaplano na lahat yan. Tapos ngayon, obligahin natin mag-contribute. Huwag naman po sana. Huwag nating baguhin ang sistema sa kalagitnaan. Sa ibang bansa tulad ng United Kingdom, hindi po nila inobliga na magbigay ng mandatory contribution ng kanilang military. Sa totoo lang po, Mr. Chair, yung iba, pinipili na lang nilang mag-early retirement dahil natatakot sila na baka tamaan sila sa isinusulong na bagong batas. Yun po ang narinig ko. Naapektuhan ang kanilang moral, naapektuhan po ang kanilang peace of mind at maaaring hindi sila makapag-focus dahil sa mga usapin na ito. Kung sakali man pong may gagawing reforma sa pensyon ng military para maiwasan ang pagkakaroon ng financial disaster in the long run, dapat po applicable lang po ito sa new entrants o mga bagong papasok sa military. Dahil ang mga new entrants, alam na nila ang kondisyones, alam na nila ang pinasok nila at alam nila kung anong rules na kanilang susundin. Let us spare the retired and active personnel bilang pagkilala sa sakripisyo na ginawa at ginagawa nila para sa bayan. Konsuelo na po nga para sa kanila yon. Ako po ang unang tututol kung mababawasan o maapektuhan ang mga benepisyo ng uniform personnel at retirees. Ibigay po natin parati kung ano po ang dapat para sa kanila. Lalo na po sa mga uniform personnel nating nagbubuwis ng buhay para tayo ay mabuhay ng ligtas at matiwasay. Yun po ang aking parating stand at palagi kong ipaglalaban ang karapatan ng ating mga military at uniform personnel. Katulad po ng mga healthcare workers benefits noon. Nagsalita po ako sa Senado dahil delayed po ang kanilang natatanggap na COVID-19 death and sickness benefits. Matagal po nila natanggap, nga dapat po ihatid nga sa mga bahay nila yung mga benefits nila dahil nagluluksa yung mga namamatayan. So ibigay natin what is due to them. Rest assured that I will only push and support measures that will be for the betterment of the military and uniformed personnel at lahat po ng kawani ng gobyerno na nagsiservisyo po sa bayan. Tulad noon, sa panahon ni Pangulong Duterte, full support po ako sa military. And until now po, dito lang po kami. I appeal to our executive agencies and to this committee to study and evaluate the proposals carefully. I believe our very able chairman, Senator Jingo Estrada, and of course kay Senator Bato de la Rosa, naintindihan po niya ang sitwasyon ng ating mga uniform personnel, will do, kay Senator Jinggoy, our chairman, will do his best to find balance in this and will consider the welfare and livelihood of our men and women in uniform. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Maraming salamat, Senator Bongo. Saan po ninyo, gagawin po natin lahat ng ating magagawa. And we will have to strike a balance between the MUPs. May bigay natin lahat and but we also have to avoid fiscal collapse ito sa ating gobyerno. Can you proceed now with the GSIS? Any rep? Any representative from GSIS? Wala. GCG, Governance Commission for Government Owned and Controlled Corporation.
Okay, okay.
All right. You have any opening statement, Mr. Onkeko?
Sir, may we call on our legal counsel for
Who?
legal counsel?
All right. Any opening statement? Do you have any opening statement?
Good morning, Honorable Chairman of the committee and Honorable Senator De La Rosa. On behalf of our PGM Week also, I'll be presenting our position briefly regarding the MUP bill, and we thank this committee on inviting the GSIS to shed light on this MUP bill. The GSIS has been working with the good treasurer, Lea De Leon, for almost 10 years now to come up with a sustainable pension system for the military and uniformed personnel. For the two bills, we note that the bill of the good Senator Estrada advocates for a independent entity to manage the MUP fund. We prefer this mode of management of MUP fund since the MUP retirement system is very much different from the GSIS. Although the bill of the Honorable Senator Revilla calls for the GSIS to manage the MUP system, but with a separate insurance fund. We also support such bill, but it would be better if a separate entity will manage this fund to make it more.
Bakit hindi nyo kaya, GSIS? Why not a separate entity?
Well, we can manage the system. For example, we have been managing the retirement fund of ordinary regular government employees, but the MUP bill, for the military, actually before the military used to be handled by the GSIs also, but the retirement scheme is such different. Retirement age, for example, they are not non-contributory. And of course, benefits are more liberal than the ordinary government workers. But we can manage, and if there will be a separate entity, for example, of the on goods, the bill that will create a separate entity, we can support the MUP by being the trust fund manager in investing these funds, since we have been investing our pension fund also. So these are just our comments on the MUP bill, and we also support that the MUP bill should be contributory, and hopefully it should not be commingled with the GSIS fund also. So these are just some of the basic comments, and we will submit the detailed comments of the GSIS to this committee. Yan.
Thank you, Attorney Lucio. We'll proceed now with
Mr. Chair,
yes.
just to clarify what we're hearing now from GSIS, I think in our discussions also with the president and general manager, GSIS will be the one administering the fund for the military. So it will be separate from the fund, the pension fund that they are now also managing for the civil servants. So I think they are amenable to administer the fund.
Thank you very much. Okay, Senator Bato, you have the floor to ask questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To Miss to the Bureau of Treasury, Ma'am Rosalia De Leon, ma'am. Yung present mo kanina na yung where are we now? Pwede bang paki-plus uli yun? Yung presentation ng Treasury? Yung presentation ng kanina, ng economic managers. Yung where are we now because of the current system. Yun. Pakibalik. Yung pie chart, yan. Yung pie chart, yan. Hindi pala pie chart yan. Parang, ano yan siya? Parang, ma'am, yung sinabi mo dito, 53% of the 2020 GDP ay ito yung mga unfunded na liabilities of the MUP, pension system.
Ayan po.
Anong coverage nito?
Lahat ito po kasi sir, di ba, hindi nga po nagko-contribute
In
ngayon ng
terms of period
Ah,
coverage.
po yung database na ginamit lang po noong 2019. So ngayon po, kaya po we're updating the study kasi mas marami na po tayong mga pumasok sa military. Of course, meron din po lumabas, pero we're starting to update how much na po yung unfunded liabilities na nga po as of 2022. So we're now asking for the data from our MUP on yung mga personnel po niya so we can again recompute in terms of the unfunded liabilities.
Unfunded. When you say unfunded, hindi pa napunduhan.
Oo, kasi sir, wala naman talagang pondo dahil wala nga contribution, di ba? So lahat po yan, lahat po ng, that's based on yung sinasabi na close group. So lahat po ng mga nandito ngayon po, members po ng military, pag nag-retire po sila, so present value po yun, how much po in 2019, yung value ng pension liabilities ng national government. Kasi lahat po yun, popontuhan dapat ng national government.
Kasi yung tingnan mo yung comparison mo dito 2020, it is understandable na mababa yung GDP natin 2020 because of the pandemic. Why not compare it with the 2021 or 2022 na mas malaki ang GDP para hindi lumalabas na ganito ka laki yung kinakain ng ating unfunded.
Opo, kaya nga sir, ang ginagawa po ngayon, ina-update po yung study. Kasi nga po, in 2019, baka mas konti pa po yung population ng ating mga MUP. Siyempre, so, mas marami na po nadagdag, but at the same time,
Kasi I don't see the relationship between the two. Kung yung anong year ang coverage nito, period of year, ay yung period na unfunded, anong year unfunded ito. Tapos ikumpara mo sa 2020 GDP. Para pang we are trying to paint a very grim scenario here na talagang kasalanan na ng MUP na ganito kalaki yung please, I'm not accusing you of propaganda against the MUP, ha? Kasi parang nakikita ko, sobra naman ito. GDP, 50% of the GDP goes to the, parang kinakain lang ng mga MUP. I cannot, please enlighten us para magkakaroon tayo ng, makuha natin yung true picture. Kasi, if you want to, it's very difficult to compare apples and tomatoes.
Yes, sir. Bali po, sir, yung 9.3 trillion po is the estimate. Bali po kung magre-retire po lahat ng naka-enroll natin sa military, noong 2019, ito po yung budget na kakailanganin ng gobyerno para bayaran yung retirement nila. Yung pong slide na to is just for the purpose of showing kung gaano kalaki yung 9.3 trillion. Sa next slide po, in terms of the total budget.
9.6 trillion.
9.6 trillion po. Sa next slide po, dito po makikita natin naman yung proportion. Ito po yung estimated na kung magre-retire yung mga tao every year, pinroject po natin, ito po yung magiging total share nila sa budget with respect to PS versus MOOE and capital outlay. May isa pong study ang CPBRD ng House. In-estimate din po nila yung total impact po ng annual budget para sa pension.
Doon muna tayo. Huwag muna tayo magpunta sa ibang kuwan. Yan lang. Paki-explain
Yes,
ka.
sir.
Yeah.
Ang purpose po ng slide na to ay ipakita kung gaano kalaki yung 9.6 trillion sa total budget. Kasi yun po ay...
You mean to say in 1 year, 9.7 trillion ang
no, sir.
allocated?
No, sir. That's
Unfunded?
No, sir. No, sir. That's not the annual allocation po for pension. That's the...
Kaya nga, tinatanong ko yung coverage. Sige nga, bigyan mo ko. Kasi mahirap yung i-compare mo itong isang year lang na GDP, tapos i-compare mo doon sa unfunded na since time immemorial, So there's no point of comparison.
Actually,
ganun.
if we compare po sa annual budget, based sa study po ng CPBRD, they looked at the budget from 2012 to 2015. On average, for example, for the DND, the budget for the pension is about 62% of their total budget. For the PNP, that's 36.8% of the DILG's budget. This is for an average po from 2012 to 2015. That's before the pandemic.
Yung may sinasabi ka dyan, ha? Pero ito nga, I don't want, I want to reconcile the fact that itong MUP, the current MUP pension system will result to fiscal collapse kapag hindi ito naayos. Kasi, take for example, the 2023 national budget. Nakalagay dito, ang nakalaan for MUP is only sa pension gratuity, ha? Pension gratuity fund, ha? Vis-a-vis the national budget, only 3% of the national budget goes to the MUP. So ibig sabihin, this 3% can bring the whole, madama yung 97% na budget ng Pilipinas because of this 3%. It will cause fiscal collapse. Yung 3% na ito, madadama yung buong 100% of the national budget. Parang ganun ba? Ganun nga pagka, ganun na analogy. Forgive me, ha? Forgive me. I am not an economic manager. I don't know how to do economics. I don't know how to do finance. All I do is to fight the enemies of the state. Yun lang po ang alam ko. Lumaban at magpakamatay para sa bansang ito. Kaya pinaubaya namin sa inyo yung paghanap ng pundo para naman forget me. It's not all about me. Senador na ako. Kayang-kaya ko buhayin yung sarili ko. Pero yung makasamahan ko ngayon na hirap bumili ng pang-maintenance ng kanilang diabetes, paghirap-hirap bumili ng panggamot sa kanilang daily existence, ay yun ang dapat tingnan natin, bigyan natin ng pansin. Mahirap kasi pag ganun, para bang pinapalabas natin dito na yung MUP ang dahilan bakit magkakaroon tayo ng fiscal collapse. Please, ituloy natin ito. Let's not do misrepresentations here. Let's not paint a very grim picture para mapapasama yung ating mga military and uniform personnel. For all we know, we cannot be here talking about all these things if not because of these people who put their lives on the line. Baka mamaya nagtatago tayo ngayon sa bunker o saan tayo nagtatago para mag-meeting kung hindi itong mga tao na ito ang nagbigay sa atin ng peace and order. Yun lang po. Klaruhin natin yan kung tama ba yan na comparison or...
Sir, may I attempt?
Yes po.
Di ba po, kamukha rin po sa utang, yung usapin utang, sinasabi po natin, magkano ho ba outstanding debt natin ngayon? Sinasabi po namin, it's about 61% of GDP. So parang sinasabi lang po natin na kung kukumpara nyo po, ganito kalaki po ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas, gano'n po yung share nung unfunded liabilities na po yun sa ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. So sinasabi nga po natin, 9.6 trillion po, pag present value po natin ngayon, lahat po ng mga babayaran natin in the future na pension liabilities. So yan lang po ang ginagawa naming analogy. Ngayon po sir, yung sinasabi naman pong nasabi na about na fiscal collapse, ang sinasabi lang po natin, kung hindi po tayo a-action ngayon, palaki po ng palaki yung pong pensyon na kinakain ng budget. Hindi lang po kami na-alarma na dumalaki ang binabayad sa pension, mas na-alarma po kami na yung pong pension, mas malaki pa po sa ginagastos natin para sa MOE ng capital outlay ng ating for defense. So, dapat po, tugunan po natin yun para mas malaki rin po, maibigay na nating share para sa mga military modernization, para sa capital outlays. And at the same time po, alam po natin na sinishrink po natin yung ating fiscal deficit. Kasi nga po, otherwise, mas lalaki po yung inuutang natin to be able to finance. Dahil nga po, again, we go back to the issue na wala pong kontribusyon, wala pong pondong nakalaan dyan. So national government, lagi po ang taya para bayaran po yung pensyon.
Yes po, ma'am. Naintindihan po namin yan. In fact, we were talking with the chairman, Senator Jingo Estrada, na sabi nga namin, nag-usap kami, sabi niya, ayusin natin ito. Dahil damn if you do, damn if you don't tayo dito. Isang pagkakamali ng committee na ito, para dito sa proposed measure na ito, kapag nagkakaroon ng fiscal collapse, dahil nga pinapaboran natin itong MUP, tayo sisisihin ng taong bayan. In the same manner, kapag nagkakaroon tayo ng weak military and uniform component or weak national defense because of a very demoralized soldiers and policemen, Coast Guard and all uniform personnel, dahil pinaboran natin ang economic managers, nag-give in tayo sa kanilang proposal, ma-demoralize yung mga kasundalo at kapulisan natin at lahat ng uniform personnel, tayo rin ang sisisihin. Kaya nga, we are nag-iingat kami dito ngayon, yung committee nito, pag-tackle itong measures na ito. Because kung pakinggan mo lahat ng mga nagsasalita ng military and uniform personnel, lahat ng ahensya ay talagang ang kanilang pakiusap na sana naman pwede yung new entrants lang. Huwag na pakialaman yung retired at saka yung mga active na nasa active service ngayon. Yun ang pakiusap nila para hindi ma-demoralize yung nasa serbisyo ngayon. Pero kung sabi nyo, wala ibang paraan talaga, we cannot avert fiscal collapse. Kung hindi natin pa-contributin itong mga nasa active ngayon, then lahat tayo magsasama-sama nito. Basta importante lang, maintindihan nila kung ano talaga ang sitwasyon para pag bumagsak ang Pilipinas, tayo rin naman masisisi. Tayong citizens ng Pilipinas masisisi, di ba? So magtutulungan tayo dito. Yun nga lang, ma'am. Thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Bato. Yung sa retired, hindi naman natin gagalawin. Safe ka doon. Bato. Okay, yung bill ko, yung SB 284, it only is applicable to the new entrants, no? But if you think furthermore, you cannot stop the bleeding. Am I correct? So we have to kailangan pa tayo mag-isip ng paraan to stop the bleeding. Anyway, we talked earlier at sabi ang isa sa mga proposals is to let the active personnel contribute, no? Pwede, can you explain to this committee kung paano sila mag-contribute, kung ilan yung makakaltas sa kanila, and if it is acceptable to all MUPs?
Sir, yun na pong, unang-una sir, I think, napag-usapan, nagkaroon ng small group dahil nga rin po, napag-utos na ni Presidente na with Secretary Galvez, saka po dun sa kay Secretary Balos noon, na magkonsulta po with the MUP, which we did. Kaya nga po, under the auspices po ng PLLO, nagkaroon po kami ng small group meeting. So doon po, paninisenta na naman po namin ang aming proposed reforms. And at the same time, dininig rin po namin yung mga counter proposals ng mga different services.
For the record, pwede nyo sigurong explain ngayon lahat yung mga pinag-usapan?
Sir, yung pong unang-una, well, sir, basically wala naman pong napag-agrihan. Then napag-agrihan po, we will reconvene yung pong technical working group para mas masabi po nila mga concrete, mga detalye ng mga proposal nila. Dun po based on the 4 areas that we also already are looking into. So, unang-una po sa contribution, ang proposal na po nga namin, yung pong staggered, dahan-dahan, based dun po sa capacity to pay ng ating mga MUP. So ang starting line po, naging 579. Yung pong 9, para na rin po sa ating kamukha po nating lahat, tayo pong lahat, yung sa civil servants po, we are contributing 9%. no, of our salary po dun sa pension. And then si government po, meron rin po siyang counterpart na 12%. Para ang total po na napupunta doon sa pondo is about 21%. So we're starting with 5% for the military. So hindi po isang baksakan. So after 3 years, we now increase to 7% and then another 3 years.
1% of the base pay.
Opo. So pwede po.
Doon sa new entrants,
So ganun
5%.
ganun din po mangyayari pare-pareho.
Bakit? Pwede na siguro 9% kagad sa new entrants.
Sir, yun po kasi yun ng depende po kung papayag po sila. O pwede daw sir sa AFP. So
Sa police? Payag kayo sa new entrants?
yung entrance
Ha? New entrants? 9% kagad? Sec Galvez.
Your Honor, sa po namin talaga, even yung mga sundalo, basta kung yung nakikita ng ng financial economic team na pwedeng i-apply sir, ang nga isa sa new entrants. So kung just in case na talagang ang main intention natin is to accumulate some funds para at least ma-offset yung yung exponential growth ng ating pension fund. Mas maganda siya kasi yung new entrants, yun ang na po natin so that we can correct it immediately.
Baka wala na magsundalo at saka wala na magpulis.
Marami pa rin sir.
Ha?
Marami pa rin sir. For as long as yung meron tayo tinatawag sir na your honors, yung social contract nila na doon na when you enter the service, ito na yung agreement natin in terms of your pension.
What about the sa Coast Guard, walang sa new entrants?
We are aiming, sir, for the new entrants only, sir, 5%,
Yes.
sir. And
5%
hopefully,
lang.
yes, sir.
Ayun yung 9%.
Only fixed 5%, sir.
Sa new entrants?
Yes, sir. Because
Bakit?
we are also paying our taxes, sir, and automatically, sir, kinakaltas yung tax namin, sir, plus the additional 5%,
No,
sir.
we're only talking about the new entrants here.
Yes, sir, for the new
Pumapayag na yung AFP tsaka yung PNP.
Yes, sir, we concur for new entrants only, sir, 5%, sir.
5% only.
Yes, sir. Maximum, sir.
Bucor.
Thank you, sir.
Senator, first time lang po namin magiging member talaga eh. So, okay po sa amin. Wala pa po kaming retirement and
BJMP.
pension plan.
Sige. Jail.
For the BJMP, Mr. Senator, sir, 5% on the first year, 7% on the next 3
New
years.
entrant?
Then 579. sir.
New entrants?
New entrants.
Ayun
only.
yung straight
For the
9%?
579 na.
Kailangan gawin natin uniform to.
So sir, pangalawa po yung sa yung pong indexation. So meron din pong proposal dito po ang AFP. So mas mabuti po siguro sir marinig na lang natin kay Secretary Galvez para mas ano po yung pinopropose nila.
Regarding indexation,
Po.
yan ang pinaka
Sir, the indexation is a
lahat.
very sensitive issue.
sensitive.
Bali talaga lalo na po sa ating mga retirees at saka mga pensioners. Sa ngayon po, we have more or less 134,735 pensioners. And we are so happy na yung nagkaroon ng indexation. If you look at the history of the salary of the soldiers, napakababa po talaga. It's only during the 2019 at saka ngayon na talagang nadoble po yung sweldo natin. Pero for your information, sir, when I was still a soldier, nung second lieutenant, 735 lang po ang sweldo ko po nun. And then also 120.
Noong 2019, dumoble sweldo.
Yes, sir. At saka kung tutusin, sir, para malaman din ng publiko na yung benefit na nakukuha ng sundalo ngayon, gumanda lang po 2019. Actually, yung previous years, yung mga veterans po natin at saka po yung mga pensioners po natin, napakaliit po talaga ng best pay po nila. So kung hindi po nag-index na sa ngayon, hindi po talaga makakaabot sa inflation yung kanilang mga sweldo. Kung tutusin natin yung mga 2015 or 2010 na best pay, napakababa po, especially po kahit na yung officer. Hindi
So if
makakaya.
we remove the indexation aspect, marami magrereklamo.
Yung po ang isang isa po na sa lahat po ng pinuntahan namin, even yung sa lahat sa fifth division, ang po nila is a new entrance ang indexation. But one strategy that we can have is para mas tumaas yung sweldo ng active is doon po sa mga tinatawag nating mga allowances. Yung best pay maybe talagang gagawin natin incremental based doon sa na lang po sa inflation. So yun po nakita natin ng strategy na we can really see na tataas pa rin yung sweldo ng sundalo but more on the allowances.
Senator Bato?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Kasi pinag-aralan na yan noon ng mga ninuno namin sa Armed Forces of the Philippines kung bakit nagkakaroon ng indexation. That is to offset the inflation rate. Kasi ang reason kung bakit tumaas ang sweldo ng active na sundalo is because of the inflation. Hindi na kaya mag-cope up na sweldo nila ngayon yung cost of prices, cost of living, kaya tinaas ang sweldo. So, kung iiwan mo itong mga retirees, parang pinabayaan mo lang itong mamatay na hindi na sila rin mabubuhay dahil hindi mo sila in-index. So, pag nag-increase ang sweldo dito sa active, increase din konti itong sa retirees dahil nga pareho lang naman sila kumakain, pareho sila nangangailangan ng gamot. So in fact mas marami pa ang kailangan itong mga retirees dahil nga mas matatanda na ito at maraming sakit na hinaharap. So yan ang rason bakit nagkakaroon ng indexation. Pero yung proposal ni SND na para hindi madamay sa increase itong mga retiree, instead na increase ng sweldo, allowances na lang ang increase doon sa mga active service, then I think it serves the point. It solves the problem. Kapag ganun ang gagawin natin, wala. Hindi na magreklamo yung mga retirees eh. Kasi wala naman silang allowances. Pension naman lang tinatanggap nila. So nag-increase ang allowance ng mga active, hindi mo rin pwede humingi ng additional allowance yung mga retired. Hindi sa iniisahan natin yung mga retired ha, pero sa legal lang tayo. Kung hanggang saan tayo. Hanggang legal tayo. So yun lang Mr. Chair. Salamat.
Thank you. Ma'am Rosalia? Yeah.
Sir, susunod po, yung sa pensionable age. Kasi nga po ngayon, after 20 years of service, pwede na mag-retire and you get your pension. So, ang sinasabi po, ang proposal namin, yung pensionable age would be 57. Dati po 56 yon pero pinag na po namin ngayon doon sa AFP na magiging 57 years po yung pensionable
Because of
age.
the new bill that was
Opo.
passed. But it hasn't been signed yet by the President, no? Di pa.
Not yet po. Pero, sir, naintindihan naman po namin na kailangan na, sinasabi po, merong kapital. Sort of para po they can start anew, magkaroon po ng livelihood, magkaroon po ng kinabuhayan. So, nagbibigay po kami ngayon ng 18 months lump sum. But on the other hand, nasabi na rin po ng AFP, right now, ang practice po nila 36 months. So, medyo may reduction po doon. So, pwede pong pag-aralan ano po yung magiging compromise namin na in terms of that lump sum na para meron pong pantawid before para pag nag-reach po silang 57, magiging pensionable po sila. Pero meron din po suggestion si Secretary Galvez doon.
Mr. Chairman, Your Honors, actually sir, kung titingnan sir natin sir yung very contentious na when we discuss this to the 5th division when we went there last Saturday, talaga sir ang pinaka-contentious issue is yung pensionable age. And also during our presentation to the President, the pensionable age is some sort of very abrupt yung kanyang tinatawag nating kanyang adjustments. Number one, yung ating mga sundalo na pagka 20 years nag-avail siya ng optional retirement. Ang niya po is 36 months na lump sum makukuha niya, and then after 3 years makukuha niya yung complete amount ng pension niya na allowable sa kanya. And considering kung babaguhin po natin kagad yun, parang mangyari maka-cut off natin yung livelihood ng ating mga sundalo. Kasi normally kaya sila pumasok ng sundalo is yun nga, may mga magandang tayo ng mga pensions. At the same time, during this time na mga 20 years sila sa service, malalaki na po yung anak nila eh. So saan po sila kukuha ng pang-aaral po ng mga anak nila? At saka ang mangyayari pa po niyan is pagka po hindi po natin naalagaan itong mga sundalo na nag-optional retire, nakita natin yung sa Digamo case, nakita natin meron tayong social problem in terms ng pagka nawala po yung pension po na yon. So that's why ang recommendation po namin is magkaroon po ng consultation to the president. We recommended to President na magkaroon ng thorough discussions para makita po natin yung sentiments ng mga tao. Ang namin, actually, we have, you see, si Major General Pasha, he came from PIGAB. He knows yung possibility na talagang nagkakaroon ng tinatawag natin yung financial system natin, merong magkakaroon po ng tinatawag nating financial problem, yung tinatawag na financial restrictive space. So ang recommendation namin, actually nung kinausap namin yung mga tao, as much possible, sabi nga namin, bearing on their patriotic fervor, na wag na kayo mag-optional retirement, dire-diretso na kayo sa compulsory retirement nyo para at least yung serbisyo natin dire-diretso at matulungan din natin ng gobyerno na ma-burden yung mga natin sa optional retirement. In fact, Your Honors, nakita namin yung ganong mga sentiment na mga sundalo, favorably kinikonsider na. In fact, nakita nga namin, bumaba yung natin, yung mga retirement natin sa yung ating retirees from 2021, 138,552 po ang ating retirees. Noong 2022, bumaba po ito, naging 136,345,000. Ngayong March ng 2023, bumaba pa ulit ng 134,735. Meaning, mukhang nababawasan natin yung mga nag-optional retirement. At talagang nakita natin dahil nagdoble po yung sweldo ng mga sundalo, minarapat na nila na mas maganda na ma-maintain na nila yung kanilang status as soldiers na itagpos na po nila hanggang sa compulsory retirement nila. So yun po ang ginagawa po namin sa Armed Forces ngayon na yung management system din ng finances natin na we recognize yung current problem, and in solving those problems we can also engage with our soldiers with the discussion na ma-minimize po yung optional retirement, and maybe we can also consider na yung after optional retirement itaas natin 25 years or maybe 30 years ng optional retirement so that we can offset some of the accrued liabilities natin on having yung optional retirement. Your Honors, medyo mahirap kasi sa optional retirement, hindi natin napoprogram. Kasi yung optional retirement is only yun ang medyo decision ng sundalo yun eh. So yun din ang medyo mahirap kasi yung variable, pagka once hindi natin na-determine, predetermine, hindi natin na po-forecast. For example, ngayong year na malalaman nila na babaguhin yung law, maybe marami pong mag-optional retirement ngayong year or next year. So yun ang nakikita namin na 70% of those having yung qualified to have yung 20 years, ang na-anticipate namin, forecast namin, 70% of those who have 20 years already will be option to retire this year or maybe before the enactment of the new law. So yung po ang nakita po namin doon sa pensionable age. Pensionable age is the most controversial among the soldiers.
You still have anything to say?
Lang po, yung pong one rank higher, pag nag-retire po sila, they do not retire yung pong whatever is their current rank. So they are promoted one rank higher. So ang proposal po namin na if they retire at the current rank po nila.
Mr. Chair, yung one rank higher, parang kuwan lang yan eh, parang premium yan sa isang nag-retire eh, na one rank higher in terms of pension Para nga nagpasalamat ang gobyerno sa kanila, sa kanilang serbisyo na ginawa at nakarating sila sa panahon na yan ng retirement na hindi sila namatay. Kaya parang ganun ang justification niya, Mr. Chair.
So the is proposing to delete that one rank higher,
So they will retire at the current rank.
or this
Oo.
this is only applicable to new entrants? New entrants only, or active?
Pati active. Sa amin po, sa kanila po, I think new entrance lang.
Sa AFP,
Uh,
ASEC.
Mr. Chair, good morning. Actually, Mr. Chair, the enactment of 11709 already saw the deletion of itong one rank higher on the part of the AFP, but it was only limited to new entrants po. So, ang tanging apela lang po namin is for the active service to still benefit from itong one rank higher po.
So yung position ng AFP is only for the new entrants. Ano position ng DOL?
May nakita po kami na mayroong 65% ng increase ng mga nag-optional na sir from our ranks. 65 since 2018 sir. Ibig sabihin sir, marami na ang lumalabas sa amin dahil natakot na sila sa MUP pension na pinag-uusapan natin ngayon. At itong mga tao na ito sir are mga senior officers and senior PNCOs. Sila yung mga nag-schooling na, may training na, may mga wisdom na sila sir sa pagpapatakbo ng organisasyon natin. And then we are hemorrhaging with our senior PNCOs because natatakot po sila sir at gusto na lang lumabas to avail of the old pension law sir. That is what is happening.
So if
With
we
the
pass
PNP,
this
sir.
law, you are expecting a higher percentage
Yes,
of those
Your Honor.
going to seek optional retirement?
Yes, Your Honor. And we have here the director of the RBS to because they have the data.
That also applies to the AFP, not only the PNP.
Sir, good morning. I am Police Brigadier General Nino Revilla, the Director of the PNP Retirement Benefits Administration Service. Secretariat, if can you show the statistics? I would say, sir, that we have a very revealing data as regards to the PP personnel who availed optional retirement, sir. From 2018 to 2022, there were a total of 18,000 who retired. Out of these 18,
Optional retirement.
hindi sir, retired sir, both compulsory and retirement. Out of that,
Retirable because of age.
yes, yes sir. Both sir, out of these 18,000 sir, 12,000 availed the optional retirement sir.
What?
Yes sir, 12,000 sir.
That's
That's
60%.
65% sir. It's only, maybe we can display the,
because of this pension only?
most probably sir, there's a correlation between these
Okay.
laws sir.
Kung 65% ang nag-avail ng optional retirement, yung mga new entrants, ilan?
Sir, hindi namin na ano yung about mga. Yes sir.
Ano?
Yung mga recruits natin sir, we have an average of at that time sir, we have an average of 1,000 recruits per year sir. Meaning the optional retirees cannot the recruits cannot compensate the number of personnel who avail optional retirement sir.
On the part of the armed forces, ilan yung ano, dun sa PNP raw, 65% nag-optional retirement. Out of 18,000 of those who retired, 12,000 of them availed of the optional retirement. What about the AFP? Do you have any statistics?
Sir, we have a statistics on the optional and compulsory retirement. For 2018, we have a compulsory retirement of 591. For optional retirement, 2,866. For 2019, compulsory, we have 534. Optional, we have 2,766. Ibig sabihin, bumaba pa po, sir. Then 2020, compulsory, 553. Optional, 2,553. 2021, compulsory, 501. Medyo tumaas po ng 400, naging ano po tayo, 2,916. And then 2022, compulsory, 444. So optional po, naging 3,224. So yun po, medyo umaangat po yung ano natin.
How many percent? Sec, if you can compute.
We will compute, sir, yung ano, we will submit the report. But for now, sa 2023 na more or less one quarter pa lang po tayo, meron na po tayo 970. 2020.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
it's very revealing that this impending passage of this new law that we are proposing right now is resulting to brain drain as far as the MUP is concerned. Talagang brain drain ito, hemorrhage ito ng utak ng ating MUP, Mr. Chairman, dahil 65%. Itong mga tao na ito, they are all highly trained, experience-wise, talagang experience na ito. Tapos, hindi ito 1:1 eh. Kung mayroong isang senior officer o senior PNCO na mag-retire sa PNP, hindi ito equivalent sa isang new entrant na isang patrolman na papasok. Dahil nga ang investment na nailagay dito, training, experience, lahat-lahat ay hindi po 1:1 ang ratio. So this is something to think about, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Senator Bato. General Rodriguez.
Yes, sir. I'm Police Major General Robert Rodriguez, sir, the Director for Personnel and Records Management. Based on our records, sir, when the first MUP bill was discussed in 2018, the average, before 2018, sir, the average, the retirees who optionally retired in 2017 was only 1,300. It went up to 1,600 in 2018, but in 2019, from 1,608, it became 3,718 optionally retired. Isa sir ako sa pinakamatagal doon sa DP na na-assign. And I was the first one to notice this optional retirees increase, sir, which I brought to the attention of the then Director of Personnel, who is Police Major General Cubo, sir.
What do you think was the reason why? Because of the issue of
Yes, sir,
pension?
because at that time, there was a discussion on the diminution of retirement benefits. Especially yung sa leave credits, sir. Leave credits at that time was to be reduced from, yung i-enjoy mo, sir, pag nag-retire ka, it's around 800 days ang leave credits mo na pwedeng, ang maximum mo na pwedeng enjoy, 800 plus, maximum ka lang, sir, ng 300. So, malaki, sir, yung baba nung magiging benefit mo pag retire mo. That's why it was one of the main issue na so naging 3,000, sir, noong 2019, but nung nag-die down, sir, yung MUP bill, bumaba din, sir, nag-2,100 in 2020. And in 2021, sir, nag-2,500 din, nag-increase siya ng konti. Then in 2022, nag-2,651. 2,600, sir. So, pag yung bill na bago ngayon, sir, just in case na magkaroon din ng ganong mga kwento na bababa yung benefit, baka magkaroon, sir, din ng additional, mag-optional na, sir. In fact, ako, kung medyo nakita kong medyo disadvantageous, sir, yung kwan, baka mag-optional na, sir. That's all, sir. Thank you.
Hindi naman naapektuhan yung performance ng police force sa pagdami ng mga nag-optional retirement.
Probably, sir, may konti, pero sabi nga, sir, pag ang nag-re-retire are senior officers or senior PNCOs, nandun yung skill, sir, eh. Sila yung nagme-mentor, eh. Sila yung nagme-mentor ng mga...
Doon sa mga nag-optional retirement sa PNP, no? Ilan percent yung mga general, mga...
Yes, sir. Actually, ang malaki, sir, is PNCOs. From PEMS, sir, yung pinaka-senior na PNCOs, for 2010 to 2022, ang nag-retire po sir is 2,900 na PMS. Tapos yung next hire sir is 831. Then PSMS sir is 1,155. Yung sa mga sa mga officers sir, kukunti lang. It's around, ang lieutenants 711, captain is 339. So hindi siya umabot sir ng by hundreds lang sir yung sa officers. But sa PNCO sir, it's by the thousands.
Yun lang, General Rodriguez. Sa mga generals, ilan yung mga nag-avail ng optional retirement?
Wala sir, zero sir for 2010 to
Gusto
2020.
magpa-extend yun, hindi mag-optional. Extension ng habol nun, hindi optional.
On the part of the armed forces naman, ilan yung percentage ng mga generals na nag-avail ng optional retirement? Wala.
Definitely
Sa
wala,
baba?
wala siya sa ano lang sa mga more or less mga PNCOs po.
Okay. We will refer everything to a technical working group first, no? Before we submit a committee report. Kasi this is quite controversial. And may I request that the MUP agencies to submit to before this committee yung updated information in the respective personnel to allow the conduct of new actuarial study by the GSIS with regard to the MUP pension reforms. No? I understand it is also the GSIS who conducted the actuarial study during the previous Congress. Can the GSIS please assist this committee in updating the actuarial study?
Mr. Chair, before GSIS, can I say something?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would like to recommend to all the agencies involved. Pag dating sa technical working committee, sana ang ilagay ninyo talaga dito na membro sa technical working committee ay yung nakafocus talaga dito dahil ayaw natin magkakaroon ng sisihan later on. Baka magpadala lang kayo dito na kung sino-sino, nagpapalitan pa, hindi nakafocus dito. Kung sino available, yun ipadala. And then afterwards, next meeting, iba naman ipadala. So walang continuity sa ginagawa. Pagdating ng araw, pagdating ng panahon, magsisisihan tayo dito na hindi maganda yung lumabas na measure na ating pinapanday dito. So please, tutukan natin ito. Ayaw nating magkasisihan sa bandang huli. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Keiko, can you please assist this committee
Yes, Mr. Chair,
regarding
if I
the
may share,
actual study?
if I may share, we already sent a request letter on 2 items, the data as of year-end 22 and the historical data to determine attrition. It was sent by Treasurer De Leon last April, and we made the follow-up letter this May. So we're just waiting for updated data from the different agencies. And
Right.
just one more item, Mr. Chair, if I'd be allowed to.
Yes.
We found out that in the course of our studies that there are different schemes for different agencies. We hope to be clarified actually in the technical working committee, the actual plan that are being implemented. Because if I may share, some of the agencies have a maximum of 85% of their retirement pay, but some have 90%. So there are different benefits across agencies. And in the technical working group, we hope to be advised of their actual practice. Thank you.
You still have something to say, Madam
Yeah.
Treasurer?
Mr. Chair, first of all, nagpapasalamat po kami. This has been a very productive discussions, open discussions following po yung sa small group meeting. Hinihiling lang po namin sa mga MUPs na sana po maibigay na po yung data so that we can start in terms of the study po ng GSIS para ma-update nga po yung 2019 study. Pangalawa pong data na hinihingi rin po namin, yung pong mga assets, kasi po kino-contemplate nga po namin na pagpondo po ng fund are yung part of the assets po ng hawak po na in the possession ngayon po ng ating mga services. Kasi that way, pwede po namin magawa ng strategy on how to use the funds. Either papalis po namin, then may income po na pupunta naman doon sa trust fund committee that can also finance po for the pension of the military. So, sana po yung ganong information can also be shared sa technical working group.
So I advise all MUPs, all stakeholders concerned to please submit before this committee your actual position paper. Yes, Vice Admiral Patrimonio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Your Honor. The Philippine Coast Guard aligns itself with the position of the Department of National Defense, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and the Philippine National Police, and we fully support that this law shall be applicable only to new entrants, and that the pension rate should be reckoned one rank higher on the last previous rank the retiree occupied. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Secretary Galvez.
Sir, we are in the opinion that the legislative body, including the Senate and the Congress, and also the economic team and also the members of the MUP, to create a some sort of information education committee that will go around the different units nationwide. Because the sentiment of the soldiers is they should be consulted first before we can really put some recommendations on the law. And I believe that's also the position of our president, that we need to consult our soldiers and our PNP and also our MUP, so that we can get the sentiment, so that we can have some sort of common ground. Because also, as we all know, the uniformed services, including the armed forces, the PNP, Coast Guard, we are more than willing to help on really to address this impending fiscal crisis. And we are with our treasurer, that we can create a team that will maybe amend the proposal of the economic team, that will be very acceptable to all and very fair and very scientific in terms of really putting on the interventions that we can be acceptable to all of the MUPs. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Secretary Galvez. Any other wish to speak? Yeah, Yusek Llamas of the LG.
Ganun din po yung pakiusap po ng aming kagawaran sa Bureau of Treasury, Department of Finance, na sana po ay magkaroon ng mga town hall meetings po dito po sa PNP, sa BFP, para po maintindihan po ng mga lahat ng rank and file kung ano po itong pinag-uusapan. Sinabi rin ho namin sa kanila na magpresenta sila ng mga datos. Pinabanggit po about yung fiscal collapse. Ano ho bang amount ang pinag-uusapan dito? At pinag-usapan din po yung mga mandatory contribution. Magkano ho ba in actual value ang tatamaan sa kanila? Dapat po maintindihan po ng lahat po dito po. Para po sinabi po ni Senator, wala pong sisihan po rito sa bandang huli. Kung ano po ang mapagkakasunduan po natin dito, dapat po tanggap po ng lahat po nakararami ng mga kapulisan ng ating sundalo. Ito pong ginagawa po natin. Salamat po.
It has to be and must be acceptable to all parties concerned. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not want to rush things. There is no room for mistake here. If this committee commits a mistake, either we go for the MUPs, we go for the government. Kailan we have to strike a balance, kailan acceptable to everybody. I do not want to rush things. I will refer this to the technical working group, but give me a timetable. No? We will adjourn by the first week of June. Alam ko hindi aabot ito ng first week of June. Siguro when we resume after the SONA of the President, then we can discuss this bill already. Okay, hindi natin kailangan madalin to. Kailangan pag-aralan, masusing pag-aaral lang kailangan gawin dito. So, Madam Treasurer and the economic managers and to all MUPs concerned, please coordinate and help our government. Okay? We have to strike a balance na hindi naman margabyado sa ating MUPs at hindi naman margabyado yung ating gobyerno. Right? So we'll refer this first to the technical working group. Thank you for your presence and kumain muna kayo. Kita ko si General Estomo, nagugutom na. Okay, hearing is hereby suspended. Thank you very much.